All right, let's dive into a massive showdown for control of the American economy. We're talking about a president versus the Fed. And trust me, this is a conflict that has real consequences for every single one of us. I want you to just imagine this for a second. The head of the most powerful central bank in the entire world says this out loud. I feel I am being persecuted for refusing to lower interest rates as much as Trump has wanted. I mean, wow, those are the words of Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve. And when he said that, it sent absolute shockwaves all through the financial world. You know, that pretty extraordinary comment from Powell really gets to the heart of what we're digging into here. It poses a huge question. What actually happens when the world's most powerful political office goes head-to-head with its most powerful financial institution? The answer? Well, it has implications for pretty much everyone. Okay, so to really understand this whole conflict, we first have to get a handle on the one core principle that's at the very heart of the fight: central bank independence. So what is it exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's the idea that a central bank, like the U.S. Federal Reserve, should be able to set monetary policy. We're talking interest rates here, completely free from political pressure. The whole point is to make decisions based on long-term economic stability, not short-term political wins. And this really gives us two totally different ways of looking at things. On one side, you've got an independent Fed. Its main goal is long-term stability. Sometimes that means making unpopular choices, like raising interest rates to stop inflation from getting out of control. But on the other side, a politically guided Fed, well, it might get pressured to just juice the economy with low rates right before an election. The big danger there is that classic story of short-term gain for long-term pain, which could lead to runaway inflation that just eats away at everybody's savings. So as the tension really started to ramp up, some of the biggest names in finance and politics, they started taking sides. They were drawing their lines in the sand. The conflict really truly ignited when one of the most powerful voices on all of Wall Street, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, decided to publicly jump into the fight to defend the Fed. And he was not subtle about it. Dimon came right out and said anything that chips away at the central bank's independence is not a good idea. He basically argued that meddling from politicians would actually do the exact opposite of what the president wanted. It would cause inflation and interest rates to go up, not down. Well, the response from the White House was, you could say, just as direct and personal. President Trump fired right back, saying, quote, Jamie Dimon was wrong. It's fine what I'm doing. We have a bad Fed person. We should have lower rates. This just goes to show you how raw and public this whole disagreement really was. And believe me, this wasn't just some domestic spat happening in a bubble. No, this battle went global and fast. The whole world was watching. What happened next was, well, it was completely unprecedented. You had the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, and central banks from Japan, Canada, Australia, and so many more. Basically, a massive global alliance of the world's most important financial institutions all rallying in support of the Fed's independence. It was a crystal clear signal to the White House. And their message, altogether, was loud and clear. They released a joint statement declaring the independence of central banks is a cornerstone of price, financial, and economic stability. This wasn't just them supporting an ally. This was a full-throated defense of a fundamental pillar of the entire modern global economy. Okay, so all this brings us to the most important question of all. Why does any of this matter to you? What are the actual real-world stakes here? Well, experts were sounding the alarm that this wasn't just some academic debate. If investors, not just in the US, but all around the world, lose faith in the Fed's ability to act independently, it could trigger some really severe economic consequences. JP Morgan's CFO, Jeremy Dimon, he put it pretty bluntly. He said, the larger question is damage to American economic prospects and, frankly, global economic stability. The big fear was that political interference could unravel not just the U.S. economy, but the entire international financial system that kind of depends on it. And all of this leaves us with this one fundamental question that goes way beyond any single president or any single Fed chair. In a democracy, who should really hold the power to steer the economy? Should it be an independent group of experts who are focused on the long term? Or should it be the elected officials who have to answer to voters in the short term? It's a huge question, and the debate is definitely not over.